Good morning and welcome to the Drag and Drive News for January 21st, 2023. Guys, this is your source for news and entertainment in the Drag and Drive community. This week's episode is good. We have Built for Drag and Drive. It's actually our first on-site episode. Guys, I went over and saw my Drag and Drive godfather, Jonathan Stonecipher, spent a couple hours with him talking about the cars, talking about history, all this kind of stuff. You're going to get a snippet of that video later. And then there's a new event in Arkansas for Drag and Drive 2023. I'm adding it to the list. I'll explain more about it. And then if you didn't see the Wednesday episode, Mahle Motorsports North America has come on board as a brand sponsor. We are so excited to have them. This sponsorship and partnership allows us more travel. It allows me to purchase some new equipment. So if you missed it, I had them on the Drag and Drive show on Wednesday night talking about their own Drag and Drive history, because that's the other side of this stuff. We don't just want companies to sign up. We want Drag and Drive companies to sign up. So we discussed why Mahle Motorsports supports so many events, how they work with the racers to develop better parts, why Drag and Drive is so hard on cars, and why that works out for our benefit as racers to help push all of the stuff further. So let's jump into it. Let's get going this morning. Welcome to the Drag and Drive News. All right, guys, the Drag and Drive Addiction Facebook group is so close to 10,000 members. We're literally 56 people away from 10,000 members. So if you'll do me a favor, please, if you're not on the Drag and Drive Addiction Facebook group, please join or invite some car guy or girl that'll actually contribute. We don't want to just run the number up to have a number. We want people that are quality members. We want folks that are going to have conversations, that are going to answer people's questions and things like that. And lastly, before we jump into a lot of the news, we are running a pre-sale on the Drag and Drive Addiction. I survived a Drag and Drive 2022 decal. Guys, here's the deal. I'm going to be confirming that you actually completed a Drag and Drive before I ship these out. It says January 28th there on the sheet or on the picture, but it is actually, I'm going to run it through February 1st, and I'm placing the order February 1st. So get in there. They're $5 each. I'm going to order a few more. So anyways, get your stuff ordered. Let's go. If you survived a Drag and Drive but didn't make a list, this is your way to commemorate the 2022 season. These will continue to roll out annually, and I'm actually ordering 2023 now, so I'll have them at the end of events so people can purchase them at that point for the events that I'm at or when they get home. You can also find a ton of other merch like hats, hoodies, license plates, all that kind of stuff. We have decals, all that on the site, dragandrive.com/shop. Now, I am bringing a limited quantity of merch to Sick Week, but I'm limited on space, right? So not going to be a ton of stuff, probably hats and some shirts and things like that. Maybe a couple hoodies. I don't know if I have space. So order what you want today from the website, dragandrive.com/shop. All right, do it. Don't miss out. Okay, let's jump into our Built for Drag and Drive segment. Guys, this was the first time we visited somebody with the intention of recording for Built for Drag and Drive, brought to you by our friends at Sweet Patina. Love the folks at Sweet Patina. If you haven't done it yet, search for hashtag 48 in a 57. Tons of coverage from their trips across the country in their 57 Chevrolet wagon. So I went over and I visited Jonathan Stonecipher, who I said earlier is my Drag and Drive godfather. Guys, he is the reason I am into this. Me and him met more than 10 years ago on a Facebook group, and then grew from friends there. The first time we did an event together was 2013 for the Streetcar Shootout. That was supposed to be a Drag and Drive weekend event in 2013, and the weather was so bad they couldn't do it. They had about 30 cars show up, and they only raced on Sunday. Well, being that I was in the car business, I could not run a full Drag and Drive weekend event, so we moved it to a single day event. And for the next 10 years, I hosted a streetcar shootout that raised money for a local children's shelter here in Northwest Arkansas. Guys, I don't know, we probably raised more than $45,000 or $50,000, something like that, over the years, and had a ton of fun doing it, and brought a ton of awareness to the shelter as well. So, I say it all the time, drag and drive will change your life. Well, it certainly changed mine and Jonathan's because of that. This bit of video that I'm going to show actually kind of talks about his time going to Pump Gas Drags and how that turned into a mad thrash to get ready for Hot Rod Drag Week 2014, actually getting a car ready that he had owned for 14 years and had never driven. So this is it's the story of that. And there is a lot more that's coming to this. There's a lot more to this video, a lot more to Jonathan. Him and I have a long, long history. I've ridden with him for a couple hours in the Nova and almost died, I think. He said, don't go to sleep, and I really wanted to. It was that bad inside, so he's fixed some of that, and we're going to be back in that car again this year. I'm not going to co-pilot, but I am going to jump in there. So the video that you will see is going to be sorry, I left that up. The video you see is going to be a portion of that visit with him. So here we go.
Ear to ear. That was like when he took a look under there and seen it painted complete bumper to bumper underneath, it just gave me hi guys, I'm Jonathan Stonecipher. Done a couple drag weeks, done a couple race weeks, been co-pilot at a Coder event, some of Michael Narks's circuit charity races. I grew up going to dirt track events with my dad and decided that wasn't for me because lots of times we'd bring home parts of a car, not a whole car. So it made me get into drag racing. Talked to Jason Hurley and a couple of guys, and a lot of these guys are a lot younger than I am, and they've made a real showing for themselves. And I run my first 10-second pass back in late 90s, and then I'm still stuck in the 10s. I've made some faster passes driving other people's stuff, but never my own. My introduction to the drag and drive stuff was I was a avid Hot Rod magazine reader, and I followed Pump Gas Drags, and actually went to Memphis and spent the weekend in 2008. Followed the event, went to Comp Cams, watched the tech in, followed the cars across town, stayed for the whole event, just hung out in Memphis for the evening and had a great time. And there was a lot of the guys that progressed from the Pump Gas Drags into the drag week, and then later on the race week. Being the Hot Rod magazine follower I'd always read about drag week after the Pump Gas Drags, and I'd been to the NMCA streetcar shootout several times. I'd went down there for like 4 years in a row and was there when they actually started doing the drive part of the race, and watched the early guys, Mike Moran, Stan Shaw, and it just gave me a real interest for wanting to do that. And at that time I was still young. I'd actually purchased a car and started gearing up to do some of this stuff in 2002. I'd sold everything I had. I had multiple cars, and I sold everything I had to have to buy a nicer car, which is the Black Nova here in the background. I've still got. I've had that car for over 20 years now. Started trying to get the car ready to do some drag and drive stuff, and had a kid, and took a couple year break and got married in the meantime. I was trying to make the Hot Rod Drag Week in 2013 at Tulsa. We were supposed to have the motor ready early in the year that year, and things didn't get around to being done. And we went 2 weeks before and went to put the motor on a dyno, and it had an issue with the block, and we had to disassemble the motor program and start all over again because of a block machining issue. The distributor wouldn't go in the block, physically wouldn't go in it. Went back to the chassis shop to the guy that I had working on the car, and we made progress on getting the car ready. Early that year in 14, I took the car to Tulsa. Me and a good friend of mine, Robert Waits, took the car and got it certified, and got the chassis cert done, brought it back and started getting all the stuff ready. We worked towards getting to drag week that year. During the meantime, we were waiting on another block to come, got the motor and got it dynoed. As everybody knows it's done a drag and drive, time passes really, really quick. We got the car together. Justin Landers is who I had do the motor for me. We actually fired the car for the first time on Wednesday night. We made test passes on Friday night, the first passes I'd ever made in the car, period. And the first time the car had been fired since I'd owned it. At that time, in 14, I'd actually owned the car. I bought it in 2000, so I guess I'd had it for 14 years and never drove it. I'd always been an NA racer, so when we did that, I'd done an NA big block, and we entered modified NA. And I remember we were in a tech line. I'm not one of those guys that's real significant, and I wasn't popular, or it'd been my first time event. And they come over and said, "What class you run?" And I said, "Run a modified NA." I believe it was Freiberger rolled up under the car, and my car's painted from bumper to bumper on the bottom side. And he goes, "Oh my gosh, I guess modified," because the outside of the car, it's just plain black car. It doesn't really look, like what it is underneath. Man, I was grinning ear to ear. That was like when he took a look under there and seen it painted complete bumper to bumper underneath. It just gave me and what he said, he goes, "I guess modified." It was just like great to me. And Tim Meehan was my co-pilot that year, and it was our first drag and drive experience. We had no idea what we were doing. The combo was so far out in left field what I done. I'm surprised that it wouldn't even hardly make a pass down the track for the power it made. We ended up running some 1030s and 1040s, and I actually made a mistake at Topeka, newbie mistake. I'd watched a car run, and I still got a video of the other car, and I thought he had ran a 990 the day before. And like I got out in the car, I just drove off from him, and I get out to about 1,000 foot, and I'm driving off from him, and I don't have a license, so I couldn't run at that event. I couldn't run quicker than 999, and I drove off because I thought I'd seen a car running like a 970 the day before. So I let off of it, and I run a 1065, and then come to find out it was not the same car. It was somebody else. So I killed my average myself by not paying attention. And then we had some issues with the car that night on the road, and we lost the ignition box and a couple things. Later in the evening, I met the 301 Streetcar guys with Carlos and Hank Cronk and Mike Sleeper and Joel Clark and all the guys, and we've been friends ever since. That's one of those things that really changed our life. Oh, look at there. Being friends with Carlos and Mike and Hank and all the guys, I just kind of watched them develop into the events that become Rocky Mountain Race Week that Matt started in 15. And when I did 14, I thought this was a one-time deal. I thought, man, I'll never be able to afford to do this again, because I sold everything I owned. At that time I had also multiple cars again. I had a wagon, and I had a 95 Z28 and a bunch of stuff, and I sold everything I had to do drag week, and then took a couple years off, did some local stock block racing, and met some more of the guys, Stephen Hicks and Mike Whelan, and some of the guys at the local stock block races. And they just were urging me to go do another event. So between them and Carlos and Mike and all of us, I decided to go do Rocky Mountain Race Week in 2018. I'd already pulled the big block combo out of the car. Jason Cunningham, good friend of mine that we went stock block racing with, he purchased a motor for us to do a stock block car. Well, we decided we'd put it in a Nova and go do Rocky Mountain Race Week. So we stuck it in the car and broke it on the dyno. Like, we're a week into the race, car's running. I've already been to the track, tested, and it just wasn't where I wanted it to be. It was, I'd ran some 1080s, and I was thinking the car should be faster. Well, we were putting it on a chassis dyno to find some issues, and we broke the motor on the dyno. So another good friend of mine, which was my co-pilot in 19, he had a Trans Am, and we took it. I called him and said, "Hey, I broke the car on the dyno. I'm going to come get the Trans Am if you don't mind, and take it and go do Rocky Mountain Race Week." He said, "Come get it." So we did. And Jason Cunningham was my co-pilot. While we're on the race, he goes, "I want this car." So I called Mikey while we're driving, and he purchases the car while we're on the event. So when we get back, we pull the motor out of the Nova, fix it, and we go stock block racing with that. Well, Mikey seen how much fun we had, so me and him actually built a second car. We built a 95 Mustang, which we called the Mustang, to do Race Week 2019 on. And then it kind of become a deal. Then I just decided, I thought this was a one-time deal, but I can make this happen if we just buckle down and kind of cut back on some of the other stuff. Jason funded my stock block program for 2019 into 2018 and 2019, and then Mikey funded the Race Week car. And then that time I was gathering stuff to make changes on the Nova again, and then we take off to go. We drove to Pueblo, where the first race was. We had no passes in the car, no miles on the car, no nothing, and we drive it to Pueblo and drive the week in it. And then that's when Mikey decided that he was a never again. But that's also changed. We're doing a pickup for him to do this year. He'll be attending Michael's charity race. So during all this, Boo stock block raced with me, and he run a power hour class, and I run an NA, and we got to be really good friends. We'd known each other for several years, but we got to be good friends. And I just said, hey, let's take your car and go do June event 1.0 with it, and which he agreed, and we went. And that year, I believe we finished second in Rowdy Radial and had a great time. So then he was addicted. And Jason, at this time, Jason had already had the truck and did the 19 race with the turbo truck with Boo as his co-pilot. That was the year that COVID hit. So we ended up, they canceled drag week. So Matt did a second event. So we took the Nova to the second event, the 2.0, and had the issues. And that's when I got to know some more of the guys, BJ Bax and Matt Coding and the guys. They didn't know me from anybody, and they were calling and checking on me, make sure, hey, do you have food? Do you have somebody? Is somebody bringing you parts? Is somebody coming to get you? And they just stayed in contact with me to make sure that we were okay. And man, that's just shows the race week family. BJ was the car behind me, and he's like, do you need me to get you a wheel bearing? Is there anywhere I can get one? Do you want me to bring it to you? They just went out of their way to try to help me. That we just didn't have it. Adam had one that he mailed to me 2 months after race week, which turned out really good. It's actually still in the car.
Y'all listen, I love that dude. He is simply amazing. So let's jump into some comments here real quick. But first, I want to thank Sweet Patina TKO hand cleaning wipes. Guys, listen, jump over there, get yourself some of these using code DND57 on sweetpatina.com. Do it. Please, at least just visit the site for us. Go follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Their feeds are amazing. They outwork me, and you guys know how much I post, and they post some of the coolest stuff. So they are a great bunch of guys. I mean, it's literally a father and son team that run all that and drive across the country and do all that stuff in their 57 wagon. That is, it has a rooftop tent. Guys, listen, I'm trying to peer pressure them into coming to the April event of the circuit. So here we go. Let's, again, sweetpatina.com. Use discount code DND57. In other Built for Drag and Drive news, Doug Cook of Motion Raceworks I didn't even have time to get the picture, just posted that they are bringing a different car than the Nova on Sick Week because the Nova isn't quite done yet. So he said he's going to reveal it on Thursday. So I'm kind of excited about that. And then again, the reason going live is so much fun is because we can actually jump into the comments. I see my mom's in here this morning. Good morning, Mama. I love you. Got a lot of folks in here this morning. It is not El Toro that he's bringing. They said they have purchased a new car. Y'all, I'm buying a new camera. The new camera is on its way. Devin, he's bringing a Tesla. Dude, that'd be so great. I don't know if you guys saw, but Voltage Classics is building a twin turbo big block Tesla. I think it's a Model 3, and they've taken all the Tesla drivetrain out and put it in a 65 Mustang. Both of those cars are being built for Drag and Drive as well. We'll have Zach and that team on eventually, but not yet. We want cars that have competed to be on the Built for Drag and Drive. They are in Florida, and hoping we'll see them at Sick Week. I did want to jump up in the comments here real quick. Nick Deal is, he said, don't mention how many days are left until Sick Week. We are going to talk about that next on the event update. But guys, if you're not following Auto Dynamics, you need to jump over and do that. They are building a really, really fast, looks like a new Edge Mustang, maybe SN95. I'm sure he'll tell us in the comments here. But right now, it's just a jungle gym of cage with the roof cut out of a Mustang. So he says he has some bars in the floor, no motor, no trans, no roof. Still need to wire and plumb it. We're building the engine tomorrow, painting the rest of the cage, installing carbon. Plan to be on dyno next Sunday. Guys, you're cutting it very, very close. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do in that time. So good luck to you. I hope that you make it. If not, if they don't make the new car, if the new car doesn't make the event, they have a car that they came to Midwest Drags with last year. that run solid into the 8s. So should be a good time around those guys. I mean, they're literally the ones, and I'm editing that video now, but they're the ones that cut down beer cans to raise the lifters up in their LS engine so the all the valve train would work right. I mean, they were literally digging in the trash can to get beer cans and Coke cans and any kind of aluminum can they could to run it underneath there. So, all right. So that catches us up on comments. Thank you, Nick, and you guys for making the comments there. I appreciate that a bunch. Guys, let's jump into some event updates here. Listen, day count to sick week is 21 days. Okay. February 12th starts tech and all that stuff. February 13th starts racing. Y'all, I'm anxious. I'm really anxious. I get into town that Sunday about midnight. So leading up to that, I'm going to be really sad that I'm missing the Sunday content, but I have talked to a couple content creators that are going to share some of the content with us from Sunday, and then we'll obviously reach out to them on Monday morning or Monday afternoon at some point to get a recap of the tech day and what all happened. And, they obviously have some testing that goes on that day. We are starting in Orlando, Florida. So y'all, it's going to be wild. I have rented a minivan, but I have literally had 3 co-pilots fall out on me. So I don't know if I'm even going to talk to anybody about being a co-pilot again, but I'll tell you this. If you wanted to go on sick week, but money was holding you back, you won't find a cheaper trip than the one that I'm taking. So I'll split hotel rooms, and I plan to camp a couple nights with the Hot Rod gang because, y'all, listen, I want the full experience. I want whoever wants to come to have the full experience. So day count to sick week, 21 days. Get your vacation time put in. If you want to ride with me, you're more than welcome to. I'll make you hang out the side of a minivan while we get cool rolling shots down the road. I'm just telling you that much. Day count to Southeast Street Meet, which is the next event after sick week, is 71 days. So then that means that it's 85 days until the circuit. Y'all, get ready. Like we're fixing to be in the absolute middle of just pandemonium season. And there's a new event for 2023 that I'm adding to the list here shortly. We don't have a name, but I'm just going to put it on there. I have literally messaged the creator, the co-creator, the racetrack they're hosting it at. I've messaged them, 4, 5, 6 times this week. I don't know. It's been a lot. Centerville Dragway in Centerville, Arkansas, has added a single-day drag and drive event to their list. Y'all, the post simply says 2.5 to 3 hour drive with checkpoints, leaving the track in the AM to make it back for the races. This is a one-day event, for now. I chose July 15th as the date. This is the first attempt, and hopefully many more will follow. Rough idea on classes are no E style bracket class, all run style index class. I don't know what that means. Street Warrior heads up class, hard tire, true street heads up class, and then maybe a truck class, maybe motorcycle classes. The struggle is Centerville is 1,000 foot. I don't know how. I don't know how that will populate the list yet, really, because we are creating a single day drag and drive event style list, which is just a drive then drag, much like the King of the Open Road events are, because they don't. Our format for the regional and national list will become drag race, all out, drive, minimum of 80 miles, drag race, all out, to make your average across however many passes the event delegates as that, right? Because we don't want somebody to be able to come out, creep around 80 miles, drive 35 or 40 miles an hour in a race car, and then come back and make a lick one pass and be able to populate the list. Because in our thoughts, a drag and drive is drag race, all out, drive 80 plus miles, drag race. Now, when I say 80 plus miles, that is an average of 80 miles per day between racing. So if you have a 3-day event, you need to drive 160 miles because there are 2 drive opportunities between those race times. Anyways, there's a whole list. I'm making a whole thing of it and our guidelines to what we are going to track, because there's going to be more of these style events. These single day events are going to be a big deal moving to the future, which is a plus because it's not just true street stuff. Was hoping we would see some of that True Street guys, those guys that already make a 25 or 30 mile cruise. They'll make their car more street worthy and get us to 80 or 100 miles a day and then race. Now, I will say driving 80 or 100 miles and then right into the racing is probably, I mean, we all know that's as hard as anything because of all the Rocky Mountain Race Week stuff. The struggle is July 15th is the Saturday after Midwest Drags completes in Virginia. So if I own a minivan by then and have driven it to Virginia, there's physically no way that I could make it back to Central Arkansas on the 15th. If I fly, I seriously doubt I can do that either, just simply because of flights into XNA that are into Little Rock or Memphis Airport that are available as late as I would need Friday night and as early as I would need Saturday morning to make the trip. So I'm looking for some content creators that are maybe in the Arkansas or Eastern Oklahoma, Western Tennessee area that are planning to attend this event that I could maybe purchase some content from. So anyways, single day event, that's exciting. I'm liking where this is going, guys. That gives us 22 events on the list for 2023. And King of the Open Road still hasn't released all of their events. All we know is 2 Oklahoma City events and 1 in Tucson in September. So we know May, the end of May for King of the Open Road. We know November for King of the Open Road because of the Thunder Valley Raceway Park Facebook page or their schedule. And then we know sometime in September in Tucson, Arizona. That's all we know. So for King of the Open Road. Let's jump into, let's see some comments here. All right. Sorry, guys. We got folks talking about, yeah. So if you see the Facebook user, which some of you guys have seen me pop that up on the screen, that means these folks are in the Drag and Drive Addiction group, which again is so close to 10,000 members. That would be awesome. But you have to give Streamyard permission in the bottom of the posting to see your name. And I don't know if you have to do that every time. Somebody said you had to do that every time. Yeah, track is nice and will hold some very fast 8th mile times. Awesome. So that's the Centerville track. That's exciting. I know they've been around for a long time, and I know they host some really fast hard tire and small tire stuff down there. So maybe they'll run an 8th mile. That would be great because that would make it very easy as we move towards all of the other events that are going to start coming up. I mean, obviously now I think we're probably going to see 30 drag and drive events across the country if we're going to add these things here. Yes. Jay Blanchard, we need to know drag week tracks. Yes. Now we did hear earlier in the season that Rockingham had posted a schedule and they had a day of drag week. So by that math, we're moving eastward. We're going to that area. Where is Keith Turk? I will tell you, I have talked to Keith Turk about coming on the show, on the Wednesday night drag and drive show for a long format. I mean, he's literally ran drag week since the beginning. So he's a great dude. He has tons and tons and tons of knowledge. So I'll start working on that again. Maybe right before Sick Week, we have him on, something like that. Any idea when waitlist cars for Sick Week will be contacted? No idea. I would think as people fall off, you would hope that they're making phone calls. The struggle is people still think they have 3 weeks. Oh man, I can make it. My parts are going to come in. I can thrash on the car and I can get it ready. Listen, there are enough events this year. If you're going to be thrashing to absolutely get it done, except for the deals, you may look at maybe attending another event because, guys, there are a lot of people that are out there chomping at the bit. And I think with the wait list that Sick Week has, you may have to wait for the call. The problem is for you guys that are going to be right up against the number or right up against the time that doesn't make it, what are you you have to give somebody an opportunity to make the trip, because I don't know if this may be the first opportunity that we see to where an event has to turn people away because they're over their number. So Danny Fakis says 80 miles seems kind of low. It does, but I feel like 100 miles proves you're a street car. The thing that gets the drag and drive racers is the all-out drag race. then a street drive, then an all-out drag race to make your best average. So 80 miles is probably kind of low, but we also didn't want to make it true street. And if you put 150 miles a day, you really limit the opportunity for events like Carolina Drag Cruise or Southeast Street Meet because of that. So Tom Bailey mentioned this on his latest post. Let's see. The new Tom Bailey video addresses the wait list. Oh, okay. Well, I'll watch it and we'll have an update on it on Wednesday night. And again, I'm working on Keith Turk to come on. But next week, guys, we have a fun show this next Wednesday. It's going to be a good one. Stick shift racers are coming. They don't know that each other is going to be on here, but I'm going to tell you it's going to be a fun one because there's some opportunity here for somebody to maybe take over the record for the stick shift class. And I'm finishing up the article on that a little bit later. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern for the Drag and Drive show. We're going to cover all kinds of stuff. It is a long format, 2-hour episode or longer if we need it this week. And then, y'all, it covers much more in-depth stuff. I want to say thanks to our sponsors, Sweet Patina and Mahle Motorsports North America. Guys, if you haven't done it yet, jump over to sweetpatina.com, go to MahleMotorsports.com, go to racingjunk.com. They are our official classifieds for Drag and Drive. All right, guys, thanks so much. See you Wednesday.